Zagreb, August the 4th, 2011. People have been pouring to Srebrnjak 1 since the early hours. Visitors come here daily, but on this day there are more, many more than usual. Thousands of people. They have all come to celebrate the birthday of one man, a man who has been dead for over 16 years and to whom they all show a special kind of respect.
Happy birthday, Ivica. People from all over the world are wishing you well. I thank you because you have helped us with everything and because you continue to help us. Thank you so much.
I'm here today to wish our dear Ivica a happy birthday and to thank him for everything that he has done for me.
I came here today to thank Ivica and God because he sent this kind of man who heals mankind to earth. I would advise everyone to follow this path.
Ivica Prokic was a spirited man. Like a force of nature. This is how the American author Angelica Wycliffe describes him. Wild, free-spirited, and blessed with God's strength, which she used wholeheartedly to help others. But the people aren't coming just because of Ivica. They come also, and these days above all, because of the man who continues Ivica's work and who has become famous all over the world. Josip Grbavac, known as Braco. People report the most astonishing things about him.
My wife was very ill. She had to get a prosthesis because her legs and hips were worn out. She found out about Braco from her niece. She was visiting her in Frankfurt and found out about Braco's instant help while watching the DVD. She said to me, "Bonjour, I'm going to Braco. He's a man who can heal everything." I said to her, "Don't go. Where are you going?" "Hang on, stay where you are." I was skeptical. I'd been all over but didn't believe in anything. She went to Braco on crutches and came back without them. Since then, my children, my grandchildren, the whole family without any exceptions has been following this path.
I'm here to see Uncle Braco.
Why else?
I want to say thank you to him. Until she was 4, Jelena hadn't spoken very many words. It was really impossible to understand her. After her mother started coming here, she learned to talk very quickly. Now she can speak 2 languages perfectly. She also had a small hole in her heart, which has also healed.
He helped me a lot with health, happiness, strength, with everything. He has meant a lot to us.
Many of the visitors bring flowers and are very happy on this special day. Very happy and hopeful. They are admitted in groups of about 100 into the house, where they experience Braco's giving gaze. This is the extraordinary thing about Braco. He doesn't speak to the people, he only looks at them. He's been receiving groups of visitors 3 times an hour since 3 in the morning.
We had heard about Ivica's birthday and that today would be a really big event. And we really wanted to see Braco's gaze. And it was so powerful. I felt so happy during it, and I still do. Even afterwards. You just feel free. And you have the feeling that if you come here with your deepest wish, that it will really come true.
I'm from Mallorca, and I wanted to be here for Ivica's birthday. and to see Braco, of course. And I'm just overjoyed that I got to be here. And, I was very moved by the encounter. I sensed a lot of strength and a lot of love.
And it was very beautiful. You get a slight chill. Yeah.
And what does it bring for your life?
Happiness and hope.
It was wonderful. I cried the entire time. I sensed such a strong feeling of love like I've never felt before in my life. I'm very grateful. It's wonderful.
Dieter and Birgit Häusler are among the thousands of visitors at Srebrnjak today. A close friendship has bound them to Braco for several years.
I am here because I want to feel and perceive what kind of power and what kind of atmosphere develops when more than 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people come together here for Ivica's birthday. And if I look down there right now, I see a mass of people, happy faces. I see flowers, I see people waiting. There is no distance that they wouldn't have traveled to be here for Ivica's birthday today. And to say thank you. To say thank you to the man who took it upon himself to carry on that work after Ivica's death. And that would be Braco. And he sent out an invitation to this birthday, and the people responded. They're given a piece of cake from this enormous cake that weighs over 200 pounds. Everyone who comes here gets a piece, gets something to eat, something to drink, a symbol of love, a symbol of community. And so, on this day here at Srebrnjak, the weather is wonderful, and the atmosphere on this wonderful day is made up of love, of community, and of thankfulness for what the people received from Ivica. They have remained loyal to Braco and keep coming back to him. We were at a meeting with him in Switzerland, and we got the chance to speak with him afterwards. And suddenly I just had this feeling, invite him over. I didn't really think about it, I just invited him, and he said he would come. He came over to our house, and then I knew. You have to help him. I didn't know how, I just knew. You have to help him.
Together with many other helpers, Dieter Häusler organizes 5 events for Braco in 2011. 3 in Munich, 1 in Basel, and 1 in Berlin. In total, they attract over 20,000 visitors. Many people the world over are involved in supporting Braco. They invite him as a guest, organize facilities, and make the necessary arrangements so that the meetings with Braco can take place in harmony and in a pleasant atmosphere in spite of the crowd. Häusler's first event takes place in February 2011 in the town of Garching outside of Munich.
I had heard that he would like to come to Munich, but he didn't have any organization in Munich. And we seized on that idea. We asked him if he wanted to come, and he came.
I was also one of the almost 7,000 people that went to Garching to experience Braco's giving gaze that day. Dieter Häusler had invited my wife and me, and so we drove from Berlin to Munich without actually knowing who Braco really was. And then, when I was standing in the meeting room with all those people and Braco came onto the stage, I had the feeling that I was one with that man. I had the feeling I had known him for ages. Tears were rolling down my cheeks. I had the feeling he was looking at me the entire time, only at me, through and through. And I had feelings of peace joy, and happiness. And it was as if something inside of me were being set free.
I came in, and then when he first came onto the stage, and he started looking at the people, I all of a sudden just felt tears. Very, not sad, but just tears. And the tears started coming down my face, and I was full of emotion, and it just came out of nowhere. And I'm not the type of person to experience something like that. I've never experienced something like that.
Yes, I was very moved. I had to cry. I have the feeling that there was a great deal set free inside of me. As soon as the music began and I saw him come in, it started right away. And now I feel such happiness and such joy, and I still feel very moved by it.
We're happy that he came to us. We waited for this for so long. I can't even tell you. I'm so happy. I, my family, and everyone else.
I was in tears. Something inside of me came loose. Something that maybe I hadn't even seen as a burden. I don't know what it was, but tears came to my eyes, and I felt relieved.
I started crying for no reason at all, and I didn't want to hold it back. I mean, I really let myself go in there. It was pretty intense.
It was a very strong inner upheaval, and the tears flowed. Then just a feeling of lightness, joy and happiness.
I lost 90 pounds. I have less stress in my life. That is, my entire outlook on life has changed. Society and people live with a lot of stress. Lots of people are all hyped up and lose their inner peace. And I look at it this way. If you go to Braco, you get back that peace. You don't let yourself get carried off by the current. You stay yourself instead. I'll put it this way. Anyone can lose weight, anyone. The problem is keeping it off. And thanks to Braco, that wasn't a problem. I spoke to Braco back then. That was back when he still spoke with us. And he said to me that he would help me.
I've been coming to Braco since 2002. I was very, very sick, practically crippled. I had a slipped disc. In the bathtub, I couldn't lift my legs. I couldn't even get into the bathtub, really. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't go to the toilet. I sobbed. I sat. I couldn't stand up. I crawled into bed on all fours to sleep. And I woke up that way too. And the doctor said, "I'm sorry, we did everything we could. Only an operation can help you. You're already crippled. You have a back like an 80-year-old grandmother." That was enough for me. There wasn't any help anymore. I was supposed to go have the operation. It was already arranged. My bed was already waiting for me in the hospital. And at the last minute, I heard about Braco. To this day, I've never had a slip disc again, and I never had the operation. After a year, I had another CAT scan, which I forgot to mention I'd already had one, because I didn't have any pain anymore. And he said to me, "No, you don't have any more slip disc." And I had the old x-rays with me. There was a red arrow that showed where they had wanted to operate. And I showed him that x-ray or CAT scan, and the new one. And he said, "Well, in that one you have a slip disc. And now? Now you don't."
He has something about him, something warm, something very, very peaceful. No matter how worked up they are, when they stand in front of him and talk to him, they aren't anymore, because he takes away their nervous energy. He radiates a great deal of love, also peace, and that's exactly what people need these days.
This is a person who's able to open up someone's heart and look into their soul and touch them in a way that not everyone can. Like no other person that I've ever met.
He just wants to help people. He's always happy when he hears that people are doing better, that people are gathered who want to have his influence. So he's really excited by his mission.
You get the impression that he wants to do something good for everybody. Wherever he is, he wants to do something good for someone. And that's what keeps him going. And you sense that, and you pick that up from him. You want to do good too. You want to enter into that love, and you do enter into that love too.
Braco is a person with extraordinary abilities. I have the feeling that he is someone who wants to pass on to people those things he feels inside, that harmony, that peace, and that unending love. He wants to share them. It's almost as if he wanted to pass on a gift. Whether the people accept this gift or not is a very individual and very personal decision. Braco said once, "I only do what I have to do." Sometimes it's enough to open a door so that something good, something positive, is set in motion.
We were able to get to know him very intimately. And just this year, we were able to spend almost a week with him. The way he sits in a cafe, the way he treats others, the way he plays with his parrot, and all those things. So human, but all with such a love, which we don't... How should I explain it? Which we don't know. We're all so rational about things. Everything has to go so quickly. But that great love that he has for everything, for stones, animals, plants, and for people in particular, that love is indescribable.
Braco was born, Josip Grbavac, on November the 23rd, 1967, in Zagreb. He went to school there, completed a master's degree at age 24, and began a successful career. In a material sense, he had everything he could possibly want. But nothing fulfilled him. It all seemed empty and somehow undemanding to him. As time went on, it became clearer and clearer to him that this hollow material world wasn't for him. The turning point in Josip Grbavac's life came when he was 26 years old. He got to know the healer Ivica Prokic through his mother. At first, he rejected that sort of thing. But the meeting with Ivica made a lasting impression on him. Ivica didn't ask for any money, he just wanted to help people. This fascinated Josip so much that he gave up his old life overnight and completely gave himself over to Ivica's spiritual work. Soon he became a close friend and confidant of the healer. Josip Grbavac became Braco. And when Ivica died in an accident in 1995, he took it upon himself to continue Ivica's work. And so then, it was Braco, who the people flocked to at Srebrnjak, and who took on their burdens. Like Ivica before him, he devoted himself to each one and spoke with them. But the crowd of people kept growing.
And he told us that he had then given these answers all day, that it had lasted the entire day. He had many, many hundreds of people come by to get the answer from him, and they told him there are still many, many more standing outside. That day he had been giving answers for 36 hours straight. He had worked through the day and night. And then he paused for a short moment. And the thought came to him, all of them together, and no more talking. So he had that arranged. And very shortly, all the people were standing together, 1,000. He jumped up on the table and presented himself to the people and looked at them. And it was interesting because the resonance with those people was exactly the same as if he had spoken to them. And so, from that point on, he felt it. No more talking, only give them the gaze.
Braco is capable of passing something positive on to the people. We have heard thousands of reports that confirm this. And for a lot of people, the experience of Braco's giving gaze was a turning point in their lives. I feel like the people that experience that gaze in an encounter develop a connection with Braco, from heart to heart. Because only through that feeling can you experience what he wants to pass on to you. That's my experience. What he wants to pass on, that unbelievable harmony that you can sense, that inner peace, that love for everything that exists. It's as if he wanted to embrace the group before him in the encounter with those emotions, and to share and give them all of that with his giving gaze.
Back in 2005 in Basel, during the Sea Conference, I met Braco more or less by chance, and we started talking. Back in those days, Braco wasn't really known around Europe.
He came to Basel with Drago Plečko to have a look round at our conference. And there, he seemed to me simply like a very likable person. He didn't appear there as Braco, and the next thing I knew, I thought, that must be a very interesting man. And he had invited us to Zagreb.
Then I called up Alex Schneider to ask him if he wanted to come along. And spontaneously, a couple of days later, we drove to Zagreb. And it was very impressive, of course, what people had experienced there. People reported about really crazy things that had happened to them, be it on a physical level, I mean, the so-called incurable diseases.
The first time I came here, I had a hunchback. I wasn't straight the way you see me now. The first time I came, I got healed. The first time. I didn't know Ivica and Braco. I'd heard about them from my sister. I also came to his birthday. I got healed in the courtyard. I also couldn't hear very well. I didn't hear about 70% of things. When I left Braco, 2 or 3 days later, pus and blood started flowing out of my ear. It went on for 5 or 6 days. Afterwards, I could hear.
After I started coming to him, I felt much better. I don't have any more pain in my chest, and I don't have any problems breathing anymore. I suffered from tuberculosis for 2 years. Since I started coming here, I've been free from all my symptoms. When I was sick, I couldn't work. I was very tired. I had a high fever and couldn't work. Since I started coming here, there's no job that I can't do. I work as a mason. I do whatever's necessary, and there's nothing that's too hard for me.
In the beginning, I naturally was mostly keeping an eye on the healing of physical complaints. And I discovered, mostly in Zagreb, that very, very many such healings were taking place there. And then there comes the thing that for me is the crucial thing. I almost like it better, that the people are reporting, I feel so much freer. I can't describe what it is, but I've become a different person. Yes, and then there is certainly a healing of the psyche happening. But there is also the odd healing of the body happening. But it's the other one, that people feel different, that I like so much. Because I think that it's extraordinarily important in our day and age that we get a different attitude towards life.
Where I might have focused on the negative before, I now focus more on the positive and looking forward. And I notice that it has already changed me, and life is just easier than before.
I'm the kind of person who is often introspective. I think to myself, why is society, well, parts of society, so shallow? Why are some people evil? Why do they do mean things to each other, you know? When I read the books by Braco and Ivica, then I always find my answers. It's just a support. The energy gives me the feeling that the world is all right and then everything will just get better. And I don't know, it's simply good.
It just makes your life easier. It makes it simpler when you have a positive attitude in all aspects of your life. It makes your job easier, your entire life, your family. Life is just a lot simpler if you come to Braco, because you also have to have positive thoughts to get through life. There's so much negative stuff in the world, it destroys you, but with Braco, it's just easier.
There is something between heaven and earth, and I see Braco simply as a medium, as the definition that there is something, and that this power just flowed there. And my tears confirm that also.
Depending on their backgrounds, they say that their faith has deepened, that they at least believe in something extrasensory. If they use the word God, that's perhaps less common, but that's what it comes down to in the end. The spiritual dimension, I could say, has been opened by the encounter with Braco.
I think that he really can awaken something in us that transcends the material level, so that we can gain access to the higher dimensions.
Simplement quand son regard arrive sur moi.
When his gaze reaches me, I am completely aware of myself. I know that it reaches me. I feel an energy or maybe a light that flows and arrives within. And the thing I feel quite strongly toward all of the people around me is, above all, an energy of compassion.
I felt a great deal of love and a great deal of crystalline energy, which spread out through my head and over my entire body. And at the same time, there was this great peace. And above all, I felt that it penetrated very deeply, all the way to my core. And there is a lot of love there. And he revived that love and that stillness in my heart.
C'est le personnage qui a une effluve d'amour.
Braco, the person from whom love just pours, who, how should I say it, is universal, has the ability to let the light shine and to let the courage and necessary power spring up. And afterwards, you really feel peace. You are at rest.
Naturally, it's a time at which, whether they're aware of it or not, the people realize, I can't continue this way. I need to find something. There has to be something else in this world. And then they hear about Braco, and they realize when they come to Braco that there really is a harmonizing that takes place, and that it really is possible to emerge from our general state of crisis.
As time goes by, the public interest in Braco continues to grow. Year after year, hundreds of thousands of people come to his events, not only in Croatia and Europe, but also in Japan, Australia, South America and the USA.
I come from the big island of Hawaii, and I make events for Braco across the United States. We were so excited because not only did people from many different states come to see him, but also the people of Washington, D.C. themselves.
Now, Braco is going to be coming back for one...
In the summer of 2009, Angelica Whitecliffe spent 3 weeks at Braco's side and later wrote a book about her experiences with him.
I really went on an incredible journey of 3 weeks with Braco, where he gave me an opportunity to do something that had never been done before, and that was to chronicle his story. And that was my dearest wish, that I wanted to share information about him with a U.S. audience, because there were no books about Braco at that time available in English, and he was virtually unknown here. So after my travels, we published this book here in the U.S., and it's had a wonderful reception and helped to spread the information about Braco.
Angelica Whitecliffe wasn't just impressed by Braco's person and the happenings around him. She also experienced an improvement in her own health.
I had physical changes in my health. I had severe neck and back pain for over a decade. And what's amazing is I didn't even ask for help. In the gazing sessions, I didn't think to ask for help for these things. I was focused more on spiritual pursuits or changing relationships, emotional things. But I found that these things began to manifest in my life, the betterment of my health. And I know that this was unique because I had seen so many healers over the years trying to get a cure for this. Literally traveling to other countries, seeing wonderful people with great reputations, but I never had any success, and it was so spontaneous with Braco. It was as if those problems had never existed before. It was not having to go through some psychological process. It was not having to do any analysis of myself to try and make a healing happen. It simply spontaneously happened. This is remarkable. And so, of course, this again inspired me that I just wanted as many people as possible to experience this too.
Today I'm at the Braco Gazing in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and I volunteered to be a guardian, to help in the room, seating people and watching them while they're doing the gazing. And even though I'm not actually looking at Braco, my back is to Braco, and I'm really looking at the people in the audience, I am amazed at the strong energy that's just moving through my body and moving around me. And I'm not even looking at him, I'm just in the same room.
The energy of Braco it's very powerful, it's very palpable to me personally. I find that it's very healing.
I do this because I have experienced Braco now several times since last year, and I realized that he's only able to give this gift that he's sharing when people help him with all the events. And what he does and what I've experienced with him really touched me, and I want to help him. And so I decided to be a volunteer.
It was short. It surprised me it was that short. But it doesn't have to be long. It takes really fast to have the spark, and the heat comes up and just it's happening. The magic happening immediately.
Wow.
It feels amazing.
And you?
Okay, so for me, again, with no expectations, I saw something. I didn't feel I saw something. In my body, it translates to visions. And it's very hard for me to feel something. I can get heat up and sweaty even right now from the energy of me talking. But in the minute of the silence, I could see his aura first. And by focusing that much of him, not me. And come and see him. It's something that's sometimes hard to say. It's something that you need to experience. And he moved when I saw him. He moved, not me. That's what I saw. And when he moved, I saw that I see something very real. He was very real. It's not an illusion, it's real. And I love it.
That's the gift, just to be in that energy field. Also with a community of people, it seems to intensify because you could feel it rippling across the room. It's nice to experience oneness with strangers.
I felt the tingle, and then I just had the biggest smile on my face the whole time, and I couldn't not smile. I feel like I still am carrying that with me, and it's just, I have an overall peaceful sense and calm that I didn't feel like I had before I went in there, and now I just feel really happy.
His mission is giving this gaze, and he takes it very, very seriously. He takes it very seriously, and he knows that the people who come to him, they don't come to him to see his pretty shirt or because he's nice. But people come to him because very often they have reached the end of the line in their lives. Incurable, problems in life that can't be solved, in the family, and they come to him and receive something from him through this giving gaze. They experience something. He addresses them in a way with this gaze. It's actually indescribable. You have to experience it, feel it, sense it for yourself. Only then can you understand why the people come to him. From America, from Australia, from Russia, from Israel, there is no flight that is too long. They come from all over to experience those few minutes with him.
diese paar Minuten zu erleben.
People come to Braco from many countries and from all social classes, rich and poor alike. The Israeli jeweler and businessman, Isaac Jacob, was immediately fascinated by Braco.
It took no more than few seconds that it was completely different. It was like, you know, he asked me for something, I'm offering something, he's saying, okay, and I could not accept that. And I'm saying, no, hold on a second, let me check something, and I will like back. It's like, let's say, I don't want to talk about this particular incident, but let's say you're buying something for a certain reason, and you ask me, how much is this shirt will cost? And I will say, $30, and he will say, I'll take it. And I say, no, hold on a second, let me check if I can do something without you asking me, which is very strange, you know. So I'm going back and I say, you know what, I look at my books and I can do it for $26. And he goes, okay. And I say, you know what, hold on a second. And then very fast we reach the point that I'm saying, forget that, who are you, what is your name? And he says, Joseph. And I said, Joseph, please, here, you can take that. This is not what are you doing? He says, I cannot explain. And people like knocking on my door. I say, Isaac, come on. I say, okay, 5 minutes. Let me see what happened. And he goes to me, you know what? I will leave a deposit for the purchase, and you will bring it over to my place. I came over here the first time, and then I came to the house, and of course the first thing that Mr. Joseph met me, and it was the transaction, and he says everything is okay, we did the transaction. I said, will you please tell me, you know, now, okay, I'm here, you here, you know, we finished whatever we did to do, it took 5 seconds, will you please tell me what you do? He says, why? I says, I don't know, I need to know. If it's not a problem, if it's a problem, it's okay. And he says, come with me, I'll show you. And then something else happened. It's like something fulfilled. And then you all of a sudden understand why it was and when and everything. And you're saying, oh God, nobody will understand what I'm going to explain, because I'm a very different person. And when I'm going to come and say, look, I made, they say, Isaac, come on, what's the matter with you? You know, be realistic, you know? And all of a sudden you feel, it's not believe or you understand, you feel something completely different. And I ask Joseph then a few personal questions. I start asking. I said, I would like to ask you a question. If this is the case, forgive me, you know, I was like very careful boy by asking. And I said, I wanted to ask you a question. He says, I will tell you the answer. I said, let me ask you the question. And he says, I will tell you the answer. And he told me the answer then without asking a question. And it was a very crucial question. So I told him, who told you? Okay, this is, I think, one of the first time that I'm talking about it. And he says, nobody. So I called my friend in Israel that he met, you know, my secretary. And I said, did you tell him about this and this and this and this? And he says, no. I said, don't lie to me. Come on, you're talking to Isaac. What happened? Eh? And slowly I understand that it's genuine.
It's always something huge to recognize a person who has truly been sent by God, and then on top of that, to get the chance to help him.
And it's so joyful, so wonderful, and so powerful. And looking at the eyes of the people who were already at the gazing sessions, seeing the radiating faces, shining eyes, the happiness, and sometimes the tears. Because of course the power is so great, is so potent, that we are going to cleansings as well. We have to become purer and purer and purer.
People sense what Braco passes on with his gaze not only during the encounters. Even when people watch his films or read his books, they have astonishing reactions.
Drago Plečko sent me videos of Braco, and I left them lying around for a long time. And then I finally took a look at them. And by chance, on that day, or perhaps even for a few days before that, I'd been having back pain that just wouldn't go away. I could barely move. And after I watched this video, it was gone. And that dumbfounded me. I'm not usually someone who reacts so easily to some subtle influences.
Doctors too are fascinated by the Braco phenomenon and admit to being impressed by these events.
In my job as a doctor, I have always been interested in the field of spiritual healing. And in that field, you can't ignore Braco.
Well, things happen that you can't explain. I'm a doctor and am very interested in these things. And I just have to say, it happens. We can only confirm that healings happen. And it's simply nice to see that that sort of thing is possible.
In normal medicine, the spiritual approach or the treatment of the spirit is neglected. And here, that can be changed through a visit to Braco.
I had no expectations. I was just there. The question was whether or not I needed medication for high blood pressure. As a doctor, I was skeptical. And then the high blood pressure was gone and never came back, although I am still under just as much stress.
I think that the most important point is that we are all able to perceive ourselves as spiritual beings, and that through this connection we can heal our souls, and then the body follows.
Numerous professionals have already attempted to explain the events around Braco through rational, mathematical or physical theories. Mathematicians talk about systems and algorithms. Physicists talk about vibrations. Neurologists talk about brain frequencies. But in the end, they all meet on one point. And that is the level of consciousness that, in the end, is directed by feelings and sensations.
My mother had some kind of fungal infection in her mouth for 10 years. She comes from Berlin. She went to all the doctors, to hospitals. She had to take cortisone every day. And we all know what cortisone is. She couldn't eat salad anymore because of the salty and acidic things in it. Then she went with me, well, actually, I went with her to see Braco in September of 1999. And since then, it's been gone since the second or third time. It just disappeared.
My mother, for example, had a herniated disc. Her back was a mess, and after the second time, back when she was still with Ivica, she was healed from one moment to the next. She couldn't walk, dragging her right leg behind her, and from one moment to the next, it was gone.
I've been coming to Braco for 8 years. It's very positive. I was very ill, and now I feel much, much better. I had a lot of disc problems in my back, and I had terrible headaches because of the vertebrae in my neck. I also had anxiety and terrible nightmares, and I couldn't sleep very well. And that's all disappeared.
Braco doesn't teach any doctrine, and he doesn't give instructions as to how people should live their lives. Anyone can attend an encounter with him. They are open to everyone, regardless of religion, nationality, or worldview. Braco doesn't make any promises to heal people. He doesn't diagnose, and he doesn't carry out treatments. Zagreb, November the 23rd, 2011. Once again, thousands of people are streaming to the Srebrnjak. Once again, there is a birthday to celebrate. Braco is turning 44. The well-wishers come from all over. Angelica Whitecliffe has come all the way from the USA just for this.
Well, today is Braco's 44th birthday. And I wish him so much grace, and I wish that he is able to take his gift literally to every country across this planet, whether it be through the live streaming or in person, that he has strength and energy and good health and a long, long life, and that this beauty inside of him can just inspire all of us around the globe to help us be better with one another. I just have so much love for him and his work, and I just wish him all the best.
For the first time, encounters with Braco's giving gaze are transmitted from Srebrnjak worldwide by live stream. This way, more than 7,000 people, in addition to the 5,000 who are present, are able to watch the event in Zagreb.
It's my wish that all the people who are in need come here and open their hearts, and that a great love arises, and then that love conquers.
Today I wish Braco all the very best. And looking around this crowd of people here, I'm so happy I don't even know where I am. And I'm glowing. Just look at these people.
I wish Braco a happy birthday. May God protect him. I wish him all the best from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Braco.
we know each other already for many years. We're talking 12 years ago and even more. And I'm looking at Joseph's eyes and saying, Joseph, I wish you whatever I wish for my son. I wish you the greatest thing in the world. I love you very much. I will be there for you all the time. Not because you ask me to be there. It's because I really love you from the bottom of my heart. I love you like I love my son. I love you like I love my father. You are one of the closest persons in the world for me. So I wish you all the best in the world. Success, happiness, continue giving happiness to people, cures to people with your own ways, and I wish you all the best in the world. I love him very, very much.
If I were to bring Braco my wishes and tell him what I wish for him, then it would be this: that he stay healthy, that he stay strong, that his motivation, that his inner need to help others never run dry. I wish that he keeps his connection to the divine, and that he may be able to reach all people on this earth, that all people experience this inner awakening.
Innere Erwachen geweckt wird.